Hello. Today we are going to see how to use Visual Studio Codespaces. So Visual Studio Codespaces allows you to code remotely in an efficient manner. So basically you are able to access your environment remotely, and at the same time you have the ability to automatically link it to your GitHub repositories, so you can maintain source control too. One of the reasons that you may want to use Codespaces is maybe that it is very difficult or time consuming to set up your own environment. Maybe the machine you have does not have enough resources, memory, processing power to execute the projects, or maybe you just don't maybe you change a lot from computer to computer, so you can actually code in your browser. As you can see here, it says in concepts and features, the remote development. We saw many developers trying to develop against containers and remote VMs configured with specific development and runtime stacks. Basically, I do that a lot of the time because I have projects which use a lot of different technologies and for evaluation purposes, but mostly for the ability to be able to program or code from any computer I have access to by just using a remote connection to my main development machine. It says simply because it is too hard, too disruptive, and in some cases impossible to set up these environments locally. We have all experienced this problem. Unless we feel it's time to flatten that machine, we hesitate to try out a new stack like Rust, Go, Node, or Python for fear of messing up our current well-turned environment. That's actually true. It has some truth on it. There are many development stacks or SDKs that are really tied to a specific version. So you have another project in another version of that specific SDK, you pretty much ruin your other projects. So by having remote development and having the ability to configure different environments easily, you avoid that issue. Okay, so what do? We go to visit online.visualstudio.com. We sign in and we will see then a something like this. So it says that I don't have any code spaces. I click create code space, and you see that here it says create a building plan, and it requests my subscriptions and requests the plan name and the resource group. Okay, you actually paid for it. So which are the costs for this? Let's see. Okay, so let's see that you create a code space with an instance type of basic. It has 2 cores and 4 GB of RAM, 64 GB of SSD disks, and it gives you an approximate cost per hour. Okay, as a note, okay, if you want more accurate cost estimates, use the Azure price calculator because it allows you to estimate by taking your input on the amount of hours. Probably we can see it. Okay, so this is the Azure calculator. Let's see how it's named. Probably Codespaces. Here it is, Visual Studio Codespaces, and yeah, it requests the region Which one? Well, let's use the standard. And it says that one environment being active 80 hours and for a total hours of 730. We have 1992. So this is the actual active hours that your environment was active, and these are the total hours probably that the environment of the environment existence. So let's say that I actually work just 10 hours, but it exists for 730 hours. They charge me around $8.89. Okay. If I use a basic, $13, $13, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. There was one already created. Let me just remove. I removed the wrong one, I think. Yeah, no, okay. So yeah, 10 hours, 730, $8. Okay. If I use the basic, it's $7. So it's okay. Here they also tell you that, for example, full-time development standard 100 hours active, and the total hours is 23.30. So yeah. As a note, your Azure bill show prices display the environment units. Price above are translated to local currency and should match your usage, where environment unit is 0.0036. Okay, so let's create a code space. Let's select the actual subscription, select the location, and my demo plan. RG, let me just create a new one. Do I have a new one? Okay. Demo Codespaces. Okay, and let's create it. So it will probably take a couple of minutes to create the environment, and after that we can continue working with it. Okay, so it says my codespace name. I'm gonna name it my first codespace. We can set the Git repository. Won't set anything at the moment. I'll create a one with basic plan, and it says that suspend idle code space after. So it basically will suspend your code space after 30 minutes of inactivity. We can select the .files repository, the .files install command, install command, and the .files target path. We hit create. Okay. So it already created the plan, and now it's actually creating my my code space. So it says that it's preparing my Visual Studio Codespace. So you see the initialized code space already finished, the build container already finished, the run container already finished. We can see some logs here. Okay, my environment is already configured. We'll see that this is actually still loading a little bit, the editor. So it's probably creating the project and the initial files, and yep, it already finished. We have all those there, and you see that configure code space already finished. It says that the process finished successfully, and now I have my console. So if you have seen Visual Studio Code, this is actually pretty much really similar or the same as Visual Studio Code. This is the actual editor. So what do I want to do? I want to create an application. So I want to create a Angular application. So I'll go to the code.visualstudio.com/docs/remote/codespaces. You can see all information there. But you can see that here at the left side, I can see things such as Node. It says working with JavaScript, Angular tutorial, and all that. So it says that welcome to Angular, okay, and says that once to install the Angular CLI, we need to install here. So I'll copy the actual command. I'll paste it in here. Sorry, I thought that was the console. Thought I could use that one. So let's see, where was the console in here? Come on, let no. Output. Okay. Terminal, debug console. Let's go to terminal. Okay, here I have the terminal. Now I can paste. I will give permissions for this. And now you see that my Angular CLI is already being installed. So while that finishes, I'll go and see how to create a new application by using the command line. So you see that we do ng new, and we create, or we set the actual name of the application. So it already finished. Ng new, my first code space app. Would you like to add Angular routing? I'll say yes. Okay, hit enter again. So you see that it's creating my first code spaces, source, the components, the configuration, the TS config, pretty much everything. It's now installing the packages. So probably here in workspace we will see the application, we will see the source, and in some here it is. We can see the node models. We can see all of the packages that are being retrieved. We can see that this is actually node models.staging, and at some moment we will see that the staging disappears and we will see just the actual node models when the installation of packages finishes. If we go to source, we can see that we have here application, we have the index app HTML, we have the components, yeah, we have the components, we have the styles, we can just continue creating files. We can actually install extensions and make things way easier. So let's wait for the packages to finish, and yeah, it already finished. It says in order to use pull request functionality, you must sign into GitHub, and yeah, if I sign, I will see the I will be able to push my changes. In fact, you see that here we have the actual source control. So if I go back to the Explorer, I do something like pp component message string. I don't like to use variables without type assign, so I'll set the type of string. you have created your first environment. Okay, we'll go to the HTML. You see that the actual template has pretty much a lot of styles there. That's something I actually don't like, to use styles in the same file. So if I were me, I will actually remove it and import from other CSS files. So let's see where I want to put that message. We see here we have this span title. So let's do something similar. The span, you can see that it actually has intelligence. I believe it was named message, right? Let's see. It was named message. Okay. And yeah. Okay. Now I can do ng-serve. Sorry, I was not in the console. I go to the console, I hit ng-serve. Okay, that's because I am not in the folder, so I'll go to my first Codespace app. Okay, sorry, clear. Okay, ng-serve. It already found that the directory is an Angular application, and it will compile and then show that the Angular application is listening in a specific port. While that finished, you can see that here the source control actually recognized that there are two pending changes. So I in fact did two changes, the one in the HTML where I set the actual span with message, and the one in the component where I created the variable. Okay, now while that finished, you will see that here we have this remote explorer, and we see this forwarded port. We will see some changes soon. Let's wait for a couple more minutes for the actual application to finish compiling, and then we can test the application. Okay, so now we see that the Angular Live Development Server is listening on localhost 4200 and says open your browser on HTTP localhost 4200. Now that's running on the server, so that localhost is the localhost of the server and not the one of your local machine. But what you can do is you can see here that it says forwarded ports, port 42. You can copy the port URL by right clicking, or yeah, open port in browser, stop forwarding, or since I did, just click. You can see that it says my first Codespace app is running. You have created your first development environment. Now I'll go to make one more change. I'll go to the HTML, and instead of a span, I'll use divs. Okay, it doesn't change the other. You can see that it actually recognizes the changes, and it does um, what Angular usually do, that is recognize your changes and try to recompile. So I was getting some errors because I hadn't finished the everything. So it says that it compiled successfully, and if I go back and refresh this page, I will probably see the changes. Okay, yeah. Let's see why it doesn't change. That's probably because of the location where they are. So what I'll do is I'll just add BR. It will recompile. I think it didn't recognize it didn't create it didn't put the dips in different lines because of the class of the pattern. I haven't checked what that does. So okay, let's see. Let's actually refresh, deleting the cache, connecting to the forwarded port. Okay, so yeah, okay, I'll close this and let's see. Open port in browser, connecting to the forwarded port. It's loading. Yeah, it didn't go out, didn't refresh. But if I do any other change like message, yeah, you have created your first environment. Enjoy coding remotely. Okay, we should be able to see that change when we refresh. So yeah, you see this change. So indeed, probably the dips didn't go down several lines because of the actual dip that had classes already assigned. So they probably affected it. So that's Visual Studio. That's how you can code with Visual Studio Codespaces. You can see that it's pretty easy and it doesn't take resources from your machine, and it's pretty simple to configure. And you have the tutorials and the documentation for the other languages even that you can program. You can actually even program in C#. So you can create new C# files. You can actually activate the core debugging, mono debugging, how you install C# support. You have some guides here. So yeah, please check it and enjoy coding. Thank you very much. Hope you have liked the video. Don't forget to share.